my friends, welcome to my next video. Today we're talking about heat, diesel heater versus Wave 6. Please forgive the adornment. I'm having troubles with my phone and have to use my Bluetooth to have a microphone that works properly. So Wave 6 versus diesel heater, I'm talking about the Chinese parking brand diesel heater. Pros and cons, I'm going to be going back and forth. The diesel heater, let's talk about some pros. The number one pro of the diesel heater is that, to me, it has a thermostat. If it's one of my biggest complaints about van life is when it's cold, you come in the van and you literally, with a propane heater, you have to wait for 15 minutes before the van gets warm. You can take your jacket off and kind of relax. That's like with the Wave 6, the Wave 3. That's been in my experience. With the diesel heater, you can program it so that when you come in the van, like if you know you're going to be in the van at 6 o'clock, 5:45, program it so that the heater goes on. Or in the morning, if you get up at 7 o'clock, 6:45, program the heater so it goes on. And when you wake up, it's nice and warm. So that's a major plus. That to me is the biggest plus. The biggest plus of the Wave 6 is, to me, in my experience with the Wave 3, I've had the Wave 3 for 4 years, is that it's safe. I'm 100% sure that it's going to work properly, and I have no concerns. The biggest con against the diesel heater, recently at CamperCon 2019, I was talking to my friends Scott and Chris, and I mentioned that I was thinking of the diesel heater, and they're like, you might want to rethink that, because they made a really good point, and it really stopped me to reconsider, because I was like 99% sure I was going to get one and try it, until they mentioned that, you know, these Chinese heaters, they're made for maximum profit. They just turn them out. The quality of a Chinese diesel heater that's $200 is not going to be the same as like an Aspar or Webasto, which is like $1,000 to $1,200 in Canada. You know, the standards aren't going to be the same. And when you're talking about a box with fuel and fire, and you're talking about quality control, your chances of having an explosion or a fire are a lot higher than if you bought a really good unit, which has got an established history of quality control. So they're not as safe. That is the major con to me, is they're not as safe. There's other pros and cons as well. With the diesel heater, the pro is that it's a dry heat. You got major moisture issues in Vancouver. It's a very humid climate, and to have a source of dry heat is really a nice feature. Now, the Wave 3, in my experience, is really not that bad. Compared to a buddy heater, it's way better. The moisture is way less. And honestly, I don't really, actually, with my humidity meter, I've tested it, and it actually is less after I've had it on for a half an hour, It actually goes down. I have a digital readout, and my thermometer also does the humidity, and it actually goes down. So, must be burning the moisture out of the air. So, let's think what else is there. With the Wave 6 or Wave 3, a major con is that it's radiant heat, which means that wherever the heater is, that's where the heat is going to really be the highest, the highest concentration. So if you go like 8 feet up there away from the heater, it's going to be colder. It's going to be noticeably colder, like, I don't know, 5 degrees or whatever. Whereas with the diesel heater, it's forced air, so the whole area, the entire van is going to be a consistent temperature. So that's a plus, and something to consider. With a thermostat, I think you can be more judicious with your costs, because when you're going to sleep, you can run it on a really, maybe you only want it 10 degrees Celsius when you're sleeping, and then when you wake up, you can program it so it gets hotter. With a Wave 6 or the Wave 3, I believe the Wave 6 has 3 different heat settings: 6,000 BTUs, 4,500 BTUs, and 3,000. With the Wave 3, it's 3,000 and 1,600. You really, once it's on, it's on. You can't really, there's no fluctuation in there. So that's a con against the waves. One of the biggest pluses of the waves, or pros of the waves, and cons of the diesel heater is the fuel source itself. Roll your eyes if you like, but I'm an environmentalist. I try to be. I try to lessen my footprint as much as I possibly can. And there's no doubt that propane is a much cleaner fuel source than diesel. I mean, with the diesel heater, you got this muffler thing hanging out, and it's going and putting pollution into the air. There's no denying it. Propane is much cleaner. So that's a major con of the diesel, for me anyway. Some of you may not agree. Pro of the Wave 6, easy to install. Put a couple screws in, bolt it on, connect the hose, you're good. With the diesel heater, you have to drill holes in the bottom of your van. There is like probably 50 different parts, clamps, hoses, different fittings. So that is a con against the diesel heater. Another one is actually filling the tank. I would want to see if I could get like a 20-liter jerry can and just put the hose, the fuel hose, into that, and so I'd have to fill up less. Trouble is, from what I've read, diesel is very smelly, and if you miss and somehow get a couple drops on your floor or in something, it's going to stink out your van. Whereas propane, even if there is a slight odor in the beginning, sometimes when you get your tank from the place you fill it, there's the vapors, but it dissipates in a matter of minutes and you won't smell it. So that's an issue. A major pro of the diesel is you can get diesel anywhere. Whereas propane, because I'm cheap, I go to 2 places where I know it's like $10 less to fill it than anywhere else. But that means I have to go to those, I have to be in the vicinity of those fill-up stations when my propane runs out. So then I think, oh, I'll have an extra propane canister, but then I never actually switch it. And it's just like I'm storing this big 20-pound propane tank for nothing, So, whereas diesel is everywhere. So a quick summary, major points. The Wave 6 to me is going to be safer. So that's its major pro and the major con of the diesel. The major plus of the diesel is that it has a thermostat, whereas the Wave 6 doesn't. So, yeah, those are the big ones. I'm really on the fence. I'd appreciate it if you could leave me your comments on what you think. They've sold hundreds, perhaps thousands of these diesel heaters by now. And I haven't heard of any fires or any malfunctions where there's a major situation. Keep in mind, when I put this heater in, it's going to be like built in, right? So it's not like I can easily get to it and get a fire extinguisher, and it's going to be a major calamity if it catches on fire. But if you've heard of anything happening with those, let me know, because I'm very curious if there's been any issues with them catching on fire. Anyways, guys, I think that about does it. Please leave your comments below regarding what you think the Wave 6 versus the diesel heater. Thanks for watching. Be well, my friends.